All right, in celebration of the new album dropping, I wanted to do a kind of a review of, or a listicle of Coheed fans and why I don't like you. I love this band, but God, Coheed fans are a strange, diverse group of often extremely annoying nerds. I'm probably one of them, but if you found this video, we'll see how much you agree with me. Which Coheed fan of the list am I? We'll start with me. I'm the gatekeeper, so you probably don't like me. Okay? I'm the guy who's been listening to the band since In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth came out in 2003. I grew up with them. I've been to see them several times, and I've followed their entire fucking career since then. I've been listening to progressive rock my entire life, which is the genre Coheed is. And one of the things that can be frustrating, which we'll get to eventually, is how prog rock is generally as a genre kind of underground. So people have extremely confusing or bizarre or kind of just wrong opinions about this band and their sound. But the next guy I want to bring up is a guy I think most of us dislike, which is the lore junkie. Now, probably most of us have at least like perused a wiki or two and had a look at some of the lore. Me, I've never bought any of the comic books. I've never bought any of the graphic novels or the table coffee table books or anything, any of that shit they put out. Not really bought any of their artwork. And I got the general gist of just about all the albums that actually have a dedicated story. Like, it's been like 12 years, Claudio. You want to tell us what No World for Tomorrow was actually about? Maybe sometime, hopefully. But these are the kind of guys who will hang around and, like, if you're in a car listening to music, outside a concert, whatever, anywhere like Coheed comes up as a subject or they're being listened to, they want to tell you the whole fucking story of the entire Amory Wars saga or everything about Cyrus and the Afterman shit, and like they'll be like, oh, this song during this part of the song, fucking Claudio Kilgannon is fist fighting Mayo Deftonwolf on top of the House Atlantic and this fucking planet on the fucking keyword. Shut the fuck up. Just stop. Or Heaven's Fence or whatever. Stop. Just don't. Just let people look it up if they want to, or listen if they want to. I know people who have studiously absorbed everything there is to know about the story, and if I even dare to bring it up around them, they'll immediately correct me, because apparently my shit's only like 75% accurate at best. And I have friends who've been listening for the band to this band almost as long as I have, and have never read any of the lore. And another thing is, very frequently Claudio will write the songs first and do the story second, which can make it even more bizarre, and it is a bizarre story, but it's pretty cool. It's a space opera. Nice, right? Next person. This one's a tiny bit of a personal pet peeve, so you may have never had this problem or have no idea what I'm talking about or disagree with me, but dude, the really young girls at the concerts, dude, it's not even a bad thing. It's just like I'm just like looking at all these like 16 to 19-year-old girls going like, you weren't even born when Blood Red Summer came out. And we know you're here for Blood Red Summer and favorite House Atlantic and shit, and then you're just going to be staring at your phone for the rest of the concert. And I resent you mildly. What the fuck are you doing? The person who says they sound like Rush, that's actually an honorable mention before we get to the one I want to actually be pissed about. And that's less fans and more the general public. Coheed does not sound like Rush. The things that Coheed and Rush have in common is high-pitched singer, prog band. That's about it. Maybe some of their songs here and there sound a little bit like it, but Claudio doesn't even sound like Geddy Lee, by the way, with the exception of just a couple songs. He really doesn't sound like Geddy Lee. He hates being told he does, and I agree with him, because he doesn't sound like Rush, and I love Rush. Sometimes Coheed sounds like Dream Theater. Sometimes Coheed sounds like Supertramp. Sometimes Coheed sounds like Yes. Sometimes Coheed sounds like Electric Light Orchestra. And very often Coheed sounds like fucking Iron Maiden. Or how about one of the biggest actual influences on the band that they sound extraordinarily like, which is Bad Brains, a sort of progressive-ish, punkish band. That was a lot like In Living Color, actually. That's more of the sound they have. Okay? And they sound like Bad Brains mixed with Iron Maiden. They don't sound like Rush. Shut the fuck up. Here's the one that I hate. And this is a Coheed fan one. And I've mostly only seen these people online. I've not encountered this issue in real life with Coheed fans. But I see this every single time a new song or new album drops. It's like, say, Year of the Black Rainbow comes out. Boo! Who's this drummer? I don't like him. Okay? But that album fucking rules if you give it a chance. It has a couple of stinkers on it, but for the most part, that's one of their best albums. It's phenomenal. The drummer, I forget his name, is it like Chris Penny or something? The guy from Dillinger Escape Plan. Fantastic. I wish he'd do more guest work with them. But I'm actually glad their original drummer's back. He's the guy who really fits in with their tone. Love the guy. He also doesn't sound like Neil Peart, by the way. Nor does their bassist sound like Geddy Lee. Nor does Claudio sound like Geddy Lee. Stop. Then they come out and say, what was it? What was that? Afterman comes out. This sounds like Good Apollo on Burning Star 4, Volume 1. No, it doesn't. Then Afterman Ascension comes out. This sounds like Good Apollo on Burning Star 4, Volume 1. No, it doesn't. Fuck, that album, everything's tuned into like drop C sharp or something, or lower, and it's just gritty and grungy and almost djenty, and you think it sounds like Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. Are you deaf? Are you literally fucking deaf? Do you listen to Coheed through vibrations in your bone matter? What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus. Color Before the Sun comes out. Boo, it's a little too poppy, but there's a couple of good songs on there like that This Is the Audience. That sounds a lot like Welcome Home. No, it fucking doesn't. And now Vaxis 1 comes out. This sounds like Good Apollo Volume 4. With the or Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star 4. Saying things fast makes me jumble it up. With the exception of the fact that Dark Center sounds mildly like Welcome Home. And I mean mildly. No, it doesn't. Okay? Vaxis 2 comes out. This sounds like Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. No, it doesn't. They have never, before or since, sounded even close to that fucking album. They had the fattest, widest, just freaking extended park bench of a bass tone. A completely different snare tone than they've ever had before or since on the drums. The guitars were downright tuned to the fucking blues. They were probably playing through old school fucking, with the light tube fucking bass amps on their guitar to get that bluesy bass sound. They've never done another, blues sound. They've never done another blues album like Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star 4. It's basically a progressive blues album. Literally none of their fucking albums sound like that, okay? Like, Second Stage Turbine Blade sounds a lot like Shabooty mixed with, like, early Green Day, like a punk tone. Like a little bit of that Bad Brains I was talking about. They're a punk band. And then you go to... I think some of their later albums actually kind of sound like In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth, because In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth had a much lower reduced bass tone and a very clean, broad distortion on all of the guitars, but it was very smooth and mid-heavy and very easy to listen to. And probably one of their best produced albums, besides Good Apollo and Burning Star 4. Okay, and then No World for Tomorrow, much punchier on guitar tone, heavy on the distortion. Again, fat bass tone comes back. It's phenomenal. The drums are just like thud, thud, thud. I think No World for Tomorrow is my favorite of their album. Not even because all my favorite songs on that album, because I think none of my top 5 songs are on that entire album. It's just the album as a complete work has no throwaway songs, no sappy ballads that I don't hate but also don't want to listen to if I want to play the album all the way through, that kind of thing. It's just meat all the way through, and it's heavy, and all the songs are long as fuck, and it's great for a prog nerd like me. Best album. Sounds most like the album that came right before it, but okay, after that, then they had Year of the Black Rainbow. Radically different sound. And this is the album, by the way, before I go through all of the albums, we're just going to stop with this one. All of the shit that Coheed has put out since they moved to Roadrunner Records and started producing their own music sounds a lot like Year of the Black Rainbow. And in my opinion, even though I love Year of the Black Rainbow, that's not necessarily a good thing. And the reason why is the production. Okay, so the bass is very, very low in the mix now with this band, and I don't like that. The guitar tone is so gainy and trebly. It's so like high peaked treble bar like through the goddamn roof that you can't, sometimes often can barely distinguish the tone of, or the sound at all, of Claudio and Travis's guitars. They like meld together into this like droning kind of almost sci-fi just distortion tone, which I believe is deliberate and doesn't sound bad. I don't prefer it over any tone they've ever had since, and they've had it for like 3 albums straight. Kind of bothers me. You know, like especially, I gotta tell you, the first 2 singles off of Vaxis sounds like the mids went boom, and the bass went boom, and then the treble went boom, and I hate it. I don't like that tone. However, if you were to say, what do the Vaxis albums sound like? They sound like Year of the Black Rainbow. The staccato bass tones, the highly technical kind of syncopated guitar riffs, the very kind of experimental and almost not avant-garde. I just want to say adventurous kind of lyrical style, where rather than producing a steady melody, Claudio just kind of riffs and kind of tries to be almost like an instrument on top of the syncopated guitar tone. You hear this especially in Cut the Cord, the new single, right? However, then he does the melody for like the chorus, and they've had this tone for 2 albums. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but none of that sounds like anything they've done before Year of the Black Rainbow. That is entirely your cutoff for any of this sound, okay? Nothing sounds like Year of the Black Rainbow. Fucking stop it. Get some help. Clean out your ears. Maybe take a music theory class, learn how to play a guitar, and then try to play some of the songs and notice how fucking radically different they are, lyrically, even tonally. Like, I don't know what the fuck people are talking about at all. I love when the singles drop and I check them out on YouTube, but then I just scroll down, and yes, there's people who gush praise for this band, and I love how most fans of this band love them very dearly. They're not just fans, they're like not even obsessed. They have like a familial love of this band, and I do too. But the people who aren't talking about how much they want to just jerk off the band are the people who say this sounds like this and this sounds like that, and people just being weird lore nerds and having some of the most ludicrous guesses for where the story's going, which maybe you're right, because the story itself is generally ludicrous. It's one of the interesting things about it. But anyway, 13 minutes is way long enough for a listicle that probably should have been 7 or 8. But this was also a rant to say, I love this band just like you do, but I don't like you. You can fuck off, other Coheed fan. I'm better than you. You are garbage. Just kidding.